Welcome to CSGuitars, the science of loud. Recently I posted a video clip to my social media channels asking people to guess that gear, and I thought I'd do the same for all of you. The premise is that I've recorded some lead guitar, the tone of which is generated by 4 pedals and obviously an amplifier. And it's your job to have a listen and guess at what gear is being used to generate this tone. The part that I'll be playing is my take on Elton John's classic Can You Feel the Love Tonight, as featured in the 1994 animated Disney movie The Lion King, which is trending at the moment because they've just remade it in CGI despite the fact that they're calling it live action. Anyway, I've got to cash in on those clickable trends, even if I do get content ID'd almost immediately for this. So here we go, have a listen to that tone and have a good think about what I might be using to get this sound. Okay, so what was I using to get that tone? If you want to play along, then pause the video right now, go into the comments and leave a little comment there with your guess at this point in time. You all done? Okay, let's reveal the answer. Obviously, you don't get any points for saying the neck position P90 in my Friedman Vintage T. That's essentially your free space, nor do you get any points for saying my Hoffnine cabinet, which I always use to generate my guitar sounds. Now let's work backwards from there, starting with the amplifier. This is the new D20 from Revv, a pretty clean pedal platform style amp. Now for this sound, I've got the gain knob pulled out, which engages the gain boost. This is what I'd refer to as a sparkling clean. The gain's adding just enough high order overtones that there's some texture, but it's not really distorting the sound. We're set on the 4-watt mode, and here's what the amplifier sounds like on its own. So as you can see, that's still pretty clean, so there's a lot of stuff going on the floor. Now, Harry Houston on Instagram got closest with his suggestion when he said a Boss HM-2, an MXR carbon copy, and a chorus. And as you can see from pedal cam aiming at the floor right now, he's not far off. There is indeed a Boss HM-2 here for the delay. It's not an MXR carbon copy, it's a Utopia from Anasounds, which is pretty much an equivalent 3-knob analog tape style delay with a modulation setting. And for the chorus, we have the Boss Dimension C, which does a very chorusy-like thing. Let's break this tone down a little bit, starting with what's in the effects loop. As we can see, both the DC2 and the Utopia are both in the loop here. So let's talk about the Dimension C first. This is a vintage chorus-like effect with an unmistakable sound that makes anything become instantly 80s. I've got it set on number 2 setting here, and we're going to do a little bit before and after. I love this thing, especially when you've got sort of multiple notes in the one thing. So here goes. So that's the Dimension C. It's got that swimming nature that really livens up a clean sound. Now let's add in the Utopia delay from Anasounds. As we can see from the settings, the repeats are set pretty low. There's not too many repeats here, and the mix is pretty reasonable. It's not too overwhelming in the mix. We're not doing sort of a rhythmic delay thing here. This is very much just like a background tape echo, and the modulation is on, so here's what that sounds like. So that's what those two are doing. Let's now look at the gain stages. For the main distortion, I'm using the MTG Tube Distortion by Fender, designed in collaboration with Bruce Ignatin. And this is a very lovely distortion on its own, not too aggressive. As you can see, I've got the gain set pretty low, but the boost is engaged. So on its own, it sounds a bit like this. So that's quite a nice, comfortable rhythm sound. With the effects loop added in, it sounds a bit more like this. So as you can see, it works quite well on its own as a lead tone, but it could definitely use getting kicked up a notch. And that's where the Boss HM-2 comes in. Now, unconventionally, we've not got everything maxed out on this. The distortion's almost pretty much all the way off. The level control is below halfway as well, and the color mix controls are set to give a filtered fuzz style effect, which is really good. Let's hear what that sounds like on its own. That's adding just a bit of grinding square wave distortion, while that filter-like EQ will give a mid-kick and colour the rest of the signal chain. Essentially, using this as a boost will add extra saturation and really help the leads sing. Let's hear what it sounds like all together. As you can see, that would keep sustaining forever, especially with a louder amplifier, which is why it's a really good idea to add a little bit of square wave distortion from like an HM2 or maybe even a fuzz into a lead sound. It gives that singing nature that'll just really sail everything over the top of everything else. So I don't know how much use it would be as a rhythm tone, but certainly for leads it adds a lot of extra sustain and gives that sort of 80s vibe thanks to everything else that's going on, especially if you want to do some Bon Jovi, great for that. Now, using the HM2 as a boost might come as a bit of a surprise, but guitarists have been using fuzz pedals as lead boosts since forever. That fuzziness adds extra sustain and girth to solos, and that square wave grind of the HM2 is something very special in my opinion. David Gilmour actually used the HM2 as part of his lead sound for a little while, and I imagine in a fashion not dissimilar to this, just to thicken everything up, give it more sustain, and really make it sing. There's also a bit of an upper mids kick to the HM2, and that filtered type sound that comes from setting those colour EQ controls allows the sound to sort of pop out of the mix and be present and be heard amongst everything else that's going on. So while this might be a bit of an unconventional pedal to use as a boost, it certainly isn't a bad option. So that was the gear. Did you get close with your initial guess? Why not drop back into the comments and reply to your initial one with your revelations now that you know the answer. Links to all the pedals and amplifier will be in the description if you want to try and recreate this tone for yourself. And if you've liked this video and you want to see more content from me, then you can hit that subscribe button, which will notify you of all new content as it comes out. My Patreon is also there for exclusive secret stuff. T-shirts are available, and there's other videos you might not have seen. But that's all for now, guys. Keep it loud, and I'll see you later. Long live the king.